Hey everybody, back by popular demand, we have more interview prep videos. From what I gather, you guys are using some of the content I create to really cram the night before an interview. I love that. So I'm gonna bring you as much interview content as possible. If there's anything else I don't cover that you want me to cover, please put it in the comments below. As you know, I hope, we read those comments and we make videos based on your comments. So tell us what you want and we're here for you. All right, let's dive in. How to not F up your interview. So my first tip is it has to be a two-way conversation. I do a lot of interviews where it feels like I ask questions, they answer, and it almost feels like a very robotic exchange. You really want to try to break that, and I know it's tricky, but try to turn it in to a two-way conversation. An easy way to do that is by adding in little filler words like, oh, right, totally know what you mean, yeah, things like that, because you really want to take that kind of formality out of it, because in real life, we're not robotic. So let's write that down. Okay, number one. Two-way street. Number two, have relevant situations ready. Okay. All right, now you guys, what I mean by this is that a lot of times at that in-person interview, sometimes it's that second round interview, sometimes it's the first, they're gonna ask you to describe a time when, right? So I want you to have these kind of practical, situational anecdotes ready ahead of time so that you know exactly what to go to and you kind of have a lot of meat ready, because otherwise you're gonna be caught off guard and you're gonna be like, I don't know what to say, I wish I'd thought of this before. So let's think about it before. Here's the kinds of situations that I want you guys to prepare. Okay, so under this category, you're gonna have a teamwork example. You wanna be able to explain a time where you really worked well with other people in a team environment. A lot of times when you're interviewing, it's to be on a team and they don't want people that aren't gonna work well with others, right? So you gotta have a time ready when you can describe how you worked well with a team to get a project done, okay? So a solo project being something that really you started and you took the initiative to finish and follow through with, and the result was something really cool and exciting. I started the company's YouTube page, made sure they had consistent content up, and by the time I left, they had 5,000 followers or 5,000 subscribers, right? So a project that you were solely in charge of. Challenging situation. Right? People always ask, describe a time where you felt really challenged or didn't think you were gonna be able to complete a task, and then explain the steps that you took to get that task done, okay? So you really wanna think about internships, jobs, class projects, just when have you been in a situation where you didn't think it was gonna work out, but then you did X, Y, Z to figure it out and make it work. And then the last situation that I want you guys to prepare is a time when you saved the day, right? What was a situation where maybe your team was struggling or something wasn't gonna happen and then you just figured it out and saved the day? So that's the last situational experience that I want you guys to have. I'm gonna put saves the day. All right, so again, my first tip, make it a two-way conversation. My second tip, have some practical, relevant situations ready so that you can go to them instantly. Okay, our next tip, don't lose me. Now, the most common place where people lose me in an interview is when I say, tell me about yourself. If they don't keep it short, sweet, to the point, and bring it back to my business, I am not interested. Even if I'm sitting in a room with them, I'm not listening to them anymore. So I want you guys to really think about that, keeping your answers short, sweet, to the point, and always bringing it back to the company. All right, so we're gonna move on. We have our top 3 tips here. Let's move on. Tip number 4. If you bring up money, have a plan. Okay, this situation, you guys, literally happened to me yesterday in an interview, and I think everyone in the office probably heard it, but someone asked about compensation, which is a fair question to ask and something that you should ask. Usually I would actually encourage you to ask that in like the first round interview, right? Because if it's totally below what you need, you know, you're probably not gonna go after the position anymore, which is okay. You wanna protect your time and the employer's time. Someone asked me about the compensation, I told them, and then I swear you guys, it was so awkward, okay? Like, it was as if I said the number and she like made a face almost. Like, I could feel it. her expectations were not on the same playing field, right? So I think that if you're gonna ask about the compensation, that's fine. But you know, three things, right? They're either gonna tell you it's lower than what you're thinking or than what you want. It's either gonna be what you want or it's gonna be more than what you want. You're gonna be excited, right? And you have to be ready to close out the interview in a professional, polished way, even if the pay is lower than what you want. Because think about it. What if the person is so amazed by you that they go back and they figure out the budget to hire you, right? Like that could happen. Or what if the person says, you know what, I think you might be underqualified for this role. We have a manager position. Let's circle back on that next month, right? So I really think if you're gonna ask about the compensation, which I recommend you do, cheese balls, right? Smile, save your thoughts for after. If you get the position and you don't take it, that's fine, but you should at least, you know, and you always negotiate, right? You always ask. Second to last tip, ask questions. A pet peeve of mine is when I say, do you have any questions? And people say no. I always say and they're always like, you answered all of them. How is that possible? We're meeting for the first time, maybe the second time. This is your job. This is so much of your life. How do you not have any questions, right? So before the interview, think of at least 10 questions. There's no way that the person's gonna answer every single one. Even if you have to pull out a notebook in the interview to say, you know what, I wrote down some questions and kind of reference them, that's okay. But always have at least 2 questions to ask at the end of the interview. And then my final tip, number 6, is tell them you want it. You know, hiring is a two-way street. It's not easy. I did another interview yesterday, a better one, and at the end of the call, the girl kept saying, Lauren, I want this position. I think she said something like, I was ready to start yesterday. I'm here whenever you need me. And it's a little gesture, but it really goes a long way, especially when you're an employer like me who is constantly trying to make the right hiring decisions and, you know, often kind of crunch for time. And, you know, you don't know who wants the job, right? Even though they're interviewing, like maybe you're just another interview out of 20. So I think it's really important to really kind of push that fact and make sure that you have done everything in your power to make it known to the employer that you want this job. So there we have it, my 6 interview tips. Now go to that interview and go land that job. And if you need any help, I am always here. Bye guys.